Welcome on in, Browns fans. Another edition of Brownie Breakdown. Getting started with you. Excited to be here with you on this fine Tuesday. And yeah, Anthony, it was another Browns win on Sunday. They did a tremendous job of shutting down that Steelers offense, which I think we kind of expected. But I can't say enough at this point in the season just about the resiliency of this team, because they've had every reason with the injuries they've gone through to just kind of not throw in the towel, because these guys are professionals. Like, they're not just going to not play hard, especially when you're fighting for a playoff spot and all these different things. But they've been given every single piece of adversity that could be put in front of you, every single hurdle that could be put in front of you, and they just keep finding ways to win. Like, this defense was great yet again. DTR had a great first half. We'll talk about the second half a little bit. Was a little bit different. And I think a lot of that just had to do with how the Steelers kind of adjusted to things. And Kevin Stefanski didn't want to take any major risks with a rookie quarterback. But it worked out in the end. You get a win, a big one at that, because at 7-3, you have a lot of the tiebreakers kind of in your hand now. And yeah, you keep it moving. But I mean, this was another game with so many different angles and so many different things to discuss from a film study standpoint, just because of how the Browns got to the finish line to hit that game-winning field goal win at 13-10.
It's truly incredible, man. Like what this team's gone through and the ability and their just resiliency and just refusing to lose. Like, I feel like this defense, as long as it stays healthy, is going to come out and just not let this team lose. Doesn't matter if I'm playing quarterback for them on offense or if it's DTR, if it's Tom Brady, man. They're Joe Flacco. Like, it doesn't matter. They're just going to refuse to lose, and this team's going to lean on it. And it's going to, unfortunately for us fans, Sunday is going to be more of the vibe you're going to get for the rest of the season, like muddy games, like there's people are calling it like a Big Ten West game, and that's going to be the.
That was very much like Iowa versus Illinois, because those were
I said it.
Iowa versus
it almost
Illinois.
Even felt like Iowa versus Iowa, like it's spring game. Like that's what it kind of felt like, So it's like just get ready for this to be the feel of it, and there's no reason that this can't continue if the defense stays healthy like this. What we saw on Sunday is something that they can build on and can continue to win this way. But it's impressive as heck, and as we know now, you're a half game out of the first place and being the number one seed in the AFC after last night, man. And you got everything you want in front of you. This team's in a good spot, and it's just kudos to them for just continuing to find different ways to win.
And for what it's worth, they do own the tiebreaker over Baltimore. So if the Browns were to win out from here, then they would actually win the division if the Ravens did the exact same thing, just because of that tiebreaker. So that's an interesting kind of nugget for you. They need some other things to happen with the Chiefs in order to actually earn the 1 seed over Kansas City, if that were to happen. But, we don't have to think that too far ahead. It is going to be interesting, though, because you're right. This defense has kind of carried the workload, and it's going to in the regular season, I think this is going to be their game from here on out. If you like offensive football, if you like high scoring games, you're probably not getting that from the Browns the rest of the way, and that's okay. The question will then kind of be like, how far does that get you in the postseason, assuming the Browns make it, which I think at this point we both feel pretty good about their chances to do so. But let's get into the film a little bit here. Let's break some stuff down. I'll ask you some questions at the end just about that resiliency that we kind of mentioned, but I don't want to waste people's time, and I want to get right into it, because there was a lot of different things and a lot of different aspects that we saw, especially first half to second half, with just the way that obviously DTR played.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let me get my my screen pulled up here. There we go. Perfect.
I got you.
All right, here we go. So I thought there's a couple themes of this game that you'll see. I thought that obviously, and it doesn't take a genius to figure out what the game plan was. Like, hey, we're going to give him short, easy passes, lean on the run game, lean on the defense. But I thought DTR was very impressive with his decision making. He was very decisive. Like, there was no second double clutching. There was no, like, when he made a decision, he made it and he threw it. Whether it was right or wrong, you can debate that in the film room, but he didn't get out there and second guess himself late. And that's what you need to do to not turn the ball over and to
and I want to say, like, there was the big mystery going into this game truly was the Browns were trying to sell us all week on DTR is a different guy than he was in week 4. We believe that he's learned some things. And yeah, like, you can say that. Obviously, a team's not going to say, yeah, he sucks, right? Like, they're not going to come out and say that if a guy actually sucks. Look what the Jets are doing with Zach Wilson. They've been trying him out there for weeks, saying, yeah, we still believe in him. Like, you're not going to hear that from a team. So you can say that, but then seeing it on display is another thing. And I think like there were some nerves even from me, probably from you, like, okay, is DTR, is it going to be that much different from week 4? Like where we understood, like he found out that morning he was starting all these different things. And I think you did see like, okay, yeah, he might not be Deshaun Watson. He might not be a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. He might not be a top 15 quarterback in the NFL, but they clearly made a point in trying to get him comfortable. And that was the biggest difference. Like you saw just the comfortability from that week 4 game to this one in his game. And it paid dividends. I mean, it wins you the game.
It was impressive as heck. And he even said it this week. He was really proud of himself on how he's grown, to this point in the season. So, and it was on display. So some of the wrinkles that, that Kevin and AVP kind of dialed up, and this is on the first drive. This isn't the first play. There was a run play mixed in there, a couple back-to-back runs. And then we get this new look that we haven't seen, right? I'm in the state. Full transparency, I was at the game, and they come out in this empty set and they motion him out of the backfield. And I'm like, oh no, like we're going to drop back. We're going to drop back and throw it. But like to their credit, look at this. They dial up this beautiful quarterback sweep. You get pulling guards, you get Wyatt Teller on the edge. And I'm like, right from here, I was like, uh-oh, Kevin's got some stuff today. Like
I liked that play to open it up because I think when you have a quarterback that can run, if you can get them using their legs early, it's almost an easy, simple way to get them comfortable already. Like, hey, look, you're out here, you're playing football, you're just doing your thing, you're using your athleticism. And I thought the play design was great because, like you said, you go empty, you pull all those wide receivers out to the left, and it just opened up the whole right side as the line moved that way to let him kind of get some yards, which was great. And
every time we go empty, we throw some kind of stick or some kind of slants. But this time we go against our tendency. We block TJ Watt with David Njoku. Don't even let James Hudson even have that battle. Pin him down, get 2 pullers around the edge. Boom. I'd follow Wyatt Teller and Ethan Posick to heaven, man. I mean, those guys are awesome.
And I think we saw a lot of the pulling gap scheme running again this week. Just because you know how talented those inside guys are and you're still dealing with some injuries on the outside. So why risk the zone running when you can just have, like you said, Wyatt Teller leading the way for you?
Absolutely. And then you come back, and I think I agree totally with your point too. Like, get him on the run, get him moving, deep breath, and then let's throw an easy one. We're going to load this box. We're going to motion Cedric Tillman in, who's been just pretty much a blocker for us to this point. You got Njoku with his hand in the dirt. And then let's just take our one-on-one matchup with our best player versus allegedly their best defender in Joey Porter Jr. And I'd take Amari 11 out of 10 times with this. I mean, he even gets hands on him. Perfect slant, perfect throw. So now on your first drive, you're like, all right, Dorian, you feel good, and things are, leading the right way. And with the way that this game actually is going to play out and how it becomes like a punt fest, like those 10-yard segments, those first downs are massive because whether they don't lead to points directly, you build drives on top of each other. Now, that's not a great way to play football because that, you basically are just pushing the buck down the road and like, hey, we're going to score in the next drive or the next one. But it's good to stay ahead of the sticks.
This was the perfect matchup to do that, though, because the Steelers play a very similar style. Like they've won games ugly. They were 6-3 coming in because this is how they win games. So if you're going to have to win a game that way, like this was the game to do it, 100%.
No question. So you get past the 50. So now you're thinking points. Okay, we're like thinking points. Well, you go 2 plays and you don't really get anything going. So now on third down, again, what we said this a couple weeks ago, like, hey, on 3rd and longs, especially even with Deshaun coming back, we don't want to remember against the Cardinals when we would hand it off on 3rd and long just to keep the ball in danger or out of danger. Well, same exact thought here. Let's give our guy a chance. We're going to run a little screen to the right up here, but let's give our guy a chance and keep the ball out of danger. The reason I want to show this clip is this is what Amari faced a lot of Sunday. Like, right here as a quarterback, you're thinking, this is a corner blitz because there's no reason why this guy's got just 2 on him. But they're like, hey, we're taking Amari away on 3rd and long. Let anybody else get the first down. If anybody else does, kudos to the Browns. We'll move the sticks, but we're not going to let number 2 get it. So love pointing that out. Just a straight double team. And then we drop one off to Jerome Ford. Almost gets enough, but hey, that's a good first drive. You're now on 4th and 6, and we're going to punt this thing away. And I think for the first time all year, we got a punt clip. Oh, maybe the second or third.
Before you play this, I was just going to say, I do think the Steelers in that way they probably presented a blueprint for a lot of teams down the stretch of the season here. Like there's going to be a lot of teams that do similar stuff. They're gonna kind of bracket Amari Cooper, have somebody underneath, have somebody over the top, and say anybody but you will beat us. And that's and they'll live and they'll die by that. And it's going to be up to Dorian Thompson-Robinson, or I guess if at some point if Joe Flacco takes over, whoever, it's going to be up to that guy to make a play and find other ways to beat teams. So just get used to that, I think, is the point I'm trying to make.
Absolutely. And make it once Dorian starts feeling better, use that against teams. Like, hey, Elijah Moore had a great day. David Njoku's he had a horrible day on Sunday, but like he'll be back. He'll be better.
I love that story. I love that story about him hitting the jugs machine. Kevin Stefanski said he FaceTimed him from his house after the game because he was using the jugs machine at his house. I love that. I love that.
He was – I know you and I, we both watched all the post-game stuff. He was pissed after the game. Like, he's like, yes, I'm glad we won. But he goes, I almost let the team down,
Well, and that's where – second half DTR numbers weren't as great, and they still wouldn't have been, amazing or anything if he had made a lot of those catches. But yeah, I mean, he had 6 or 7 drops, I think, on the day. Like, it was not a good day for
Wasn't great, but he'll come back. He'll respond. Yeah. So I showed this punt because it was awesome, and I think it even could have been a little bit better because it looked like it hit this gunner. So I think that's why, because Hewlett's a seasoned vet. He knows not to touch this inside the 10 if it's rolling. But it looked like it hit this guy, and he goes to pick it up, and he's like, oh, gosh, I messed up there. But regardless, inside the 10, anytime you pin him inside the 10, you're winning. So especially when you got this group of defensive linemen who are just, crazed dogs, man. They just smell blood. They see blood, and they're just like, hey, we're going to go get the quarterback. And Myles Garrett, first play of the game, still don't know how this wasn't a safety, but come on.
Gene Steratore said on the broadcast that it was definitely a safety. I know you were at the game, so you were watching from that perspective, but Gene Steratore said it should have been a safety. And
it looked like it. Is it Kevin after the game said he threw the challenge flag, but the ref didn't see it?
He threw it too late, I think. It was too late in the process. I think it was one of those, he was waiting. He said he was waiting for the officials, some word from the officials, or maybe he was waiting from because every team has their guy up top that's kind of reviewing the replay and telling you if you should throw the flag. So I don't know exactly the miscommunication there, but yeah, he probably should have challenged it, and he might have gotten it because the whole thing was the entire ball has to be across the plane, and in this instance, it wasn't. It's crazy to think about because that could have changed the entire outlook of the game. If you lose, you could have won. You might have won those 2 points, but hindsight's always 20/20, right?
Yeah, it's a sliding doors moment. You don't know how it changes, but even then, hey, you don't want to. Why waste the timeout when they have the ball literally on the inch line? And if you lose the challenge, you lose a timeout, and it's hey, our defense is good enough. They may get a touchdown on the next play. So a great start for the defense. Myles is sweet, man. He is impossible to block. So 2 plays later, right, they run it on second down. Could have also been a safety, and then they throw that little out route to Pickens, and they kind of get a little breathing room, but they punt it away. So one thing here, and I clicked through it on accident, but they punt it away, and we get the ball on the 50-yard line. So basically right where we ended the last drive is right where we start this drive. Yeah. So you talk about that field position battle. This is where it comes into play because, okay, we're in the same spot, but now we got a fresh set of downs and we have a new drive. So let's go and execute here. So they come out and in similar fashion, right? Last time they ran a quarterback sweep with Dorian. Instead, they put Dorian on the top of your screen, go Wildcat with Jerome Ford. And Ford tries to get the edge, but you just love the creativity. Sometimes I don't love the Wildcat stuff, but Kevin, I trust him now to kind of have some stuff off of it.
He's had that package all year, and I think at this point it's just about they're trying different things off of it. And I don't know, we talked about it already, but I don't know that I love Jerome Ford with the wide zone type runs like that. That's part of the problem for me is I think this team just does better when it's the gap scheme stuff and they're kind of just going straight ahead and it's hey, find the hole and go rather than trying to bounce it outside. I don't know that Jerome Ford does as well in those situations.
No question. So you come out 2nd and 8, and this was awesome. I let's see if I can rewind it further. Yeah, here we go. My favorite here is this isn't crazy, but I just love seeing it. You see Dorian communicating to the team, so he's switching the play. Oftentimes you got 2 plays in the huddle, right? It comes down to one look, you can it or whatever they call Apple, whatever it may be to switch the play. So he does that here. gets the team into their little play action fake. And this is perfect to Njoku. Fake little block, get TJ coming up the field, float one to him, 85 in space. Now the stadium's going berserk and the Browns are rolling.
For people watching this, what is he seeing that's making him change the play? Like, if you're looking at this from a quarterback perspective, what do you know?
From a quarterback perspective. So let's get the final form here. So my guess is that they have this bootleg off to the top, but they have the same run action up where my cursor's at. So think just a run to the left. Oftentimes it could be where this defensive tackle's lined up. It could be, hey, they have an extra hat because this is a safety. They brought the safety down, and we're outnumbered to this side. So think if it's like a run to the left. Okay, they got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you can add the safety in for 6. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you're 5 on 6. Okay, so you're outnumbered. So hey, we're going to switch out of it. If we're outnumbered to the left, we got advantage to the right. So that's kind of how they build those. So that's when you see him go with the alert, to switch the play. And then after that, use the Steelers' aggression against them. So now you can see, right? You're 3 on 2 over here because TJ Watt's in a predicament. Either pick Dorian or pick David. And he picked Dorian, and David just flipped.
Easy play. And again, it's another week where we're seeing these like leak plays for Njoku, which is why him being a blocker, like this is one of the things I love about his game, is him being a blocker is such a weapon, because there's so many times where he just fakes that little block, gets the guy thinking, oh, it must be a run play or whatever's coming, and then he just leaks out and he's wide open like that. It's great. I mean, it's awesome that they use him in that way.
I won't beat a dead horse here, but like for this also goes back to the play calling aspect and protecting Dorian. Like this is the one read play. It's honestly, literally, if TJ Watt attaches to him, I'm running it. Okay. This is a run. He's just going to take off and go. If Watt floats up the field, I'm going to throw it right here. So this is although it like looks crazy and it's like, hey, I audible this, audible that. He probably had one read, one look on the audible, switch the play, come out of it and make one decision. Okay. And then it's go off of that. There's not too much thinking and stuff going on.
And that's a tough situation for Watt to be in. I'm guessing from Watt's perspective, he's probably thinking, listen, rookie quarterback, if I at least go after him, I'll try to make him make a tough throw. And that's he delivered. So good for DTR in that regard.
Absolutely. So here you go. You get a version of you get a five-man route concept. So split this right down the field. Dorian, and this is something we'll get into here. I'd love to know what the trigger is to go to the slant arrow as opposed to stick. So this is a lot of what they did on Sunday because it's just easy throws. So down on the bottom of the screen, and you see this paired oftentimes with each other. You get a go ball or a fade route here. You get some kind of a speed out by number 2, and then you get a stick route here by Njoku right there, and then you get slant up top, and then you get arrow out of the backfield. So this is one where, hey, I can either read my top side, my slant arrow, or I can read my stick. Okay, it's called progression with an option. You pick one side and you progress it. So this play particular shows me a ton of like maturity by Dorian Thompson-Robinson, because not 30 minutes of real time ago he hit Amari Cooper on a slant route. Okay, but this time he gets off the slant because Watt's dropping into the window. And look, man, he's eyes were on Watt. This ball, I mean, he's already made his decision to throw it. I mean, that is quick thinking and that's decisiveness. And when you do that and you throw it accurately, you get it to your guy and you get 8 yards or 6 yards on first down, which is awesome. Now I show this because we come back to it because potentially have, you would, if you would have went left, you'd have to throw to Njoku. So they're like, okay, we have this play concept is something that we can get back to, and they do. But I'd love to understand, hey, why did I go to the top, and what am I taught if I want to go to the bottom? Because it does come back a little bit later. Awesome here. Well, this is just great offensive line play. So here's our gap scheme. You get a pulling Joel Bitonio, you get a double team from Posick and Teller up to the second level. Then you get James Hudson's the block here because he makes this hole. Then you get an addition in from Harrison Bryant, and then you got Njoku one-on-one on Watt. Well, watch. Oh, it was a little skippy there. James Hudson just totally dominating his responsibility right here. And then you got Joel Bitonio, and I apologize, it's glitching, but just trust me on it. James Hudson blocks his guy out. Bitonio peels around for a safety in the hole, and it was just a perfectly blocked play from the entire offensive line, chunk play that ends in a face mask to give the Browns 1st and 10 from inside the 10-yard line. All right, this one was a surprise. I don't know if they went into it on the broadcast. I thought when he challenged this one, I didn't know that we were gonna win this one, but just had to show the touchdown run, right? Follow Nick Harris into the promised land, and that one looked questionable to me.
It's been a theme all season. Follow the newly minted fullback, not center, Nick Harris, and you're in good hands.
We'll see. We'll see if I forget if I put it in or not, but he lined up in an empty set on Sunday.
I missed it. I don't know if I even caught that in the rewatch. That's crazy.
No. He lined. Maybe it was empty or maybe it was a 3-by-1, but primarily he's been when they're in the I formation and he comes back as that fullback. They had him split out and they motioned. It was sweet. It was sweet. All right. Watch Denzel Ward here, bottom of your screen. Okay, big play. This is one that the Steelers probably had dialed up. Like, hey, we're going to try to get him. Denzel Ward is so fast. Watch this. Just watch. He triggers and is in the backfield. He beats George Pickens to the line of scrimmage. I mean, it blows my mind when you watch this play. Just the speed. He almost looks like a jaguar, just like sitting there prowling, waiting, following his responsibility. He sees it and he goes. Really impressive. He's playing all pro football right now.
I feel, and that play must have been zoned because he didn't follow anybody across the field. I think Allen Robinson maybe lined up on this side and he doesn't even stay. He just stays where he's at. So clearly just trusting your reads, trusting your eyes, what you're seeing and flying up and making a play. That was a great one at the time.
And Spence, trusting your responsibility. How many times are you like, do you see guys trying to do too much? Like, oh, it's run away or it's whatever. Yeah. I'm going to go try to make this play down the field. Even freaking Martin Emerson, saw it the whole way. Like he saw Pickens go and watch Emerson at the top of your screen. Like he sees Pickens go and he's like, oh my gosh, I'm triggering too. So
and if you're the Steelers, that's almost a play where you run it. And because like Martin Emerson, he not that he bites, like he followed where the play was, but like that's one of those ones where you do a double reverse and then he's out of position, right? Like these are what reverses are sometimes for, is setting up stuff later in the game. But the problem is Matt Canada wasn't really that creative with the Steelers offense.
Well,
and there's added context to the fact that he's now gone in Pittsburgh.
Right. As of 10 minutes ago. It was very interesting. For the same reason we were praising Denzel Ward is the same reason you should be saying, hey, Martin, just follow your responsibility, because a big play comes off of that. This one's interesting. Orlovsky did a breakdown of this play here. I remember watching this and being like, this looked wrong because we're going to get a swing pass out here. And these guys,
I saw Orlovsky's breakdown of this too, and I thought the same thing when I was watching this back. I was like, that was a weird play.
These guys they didn't block anybody.
Yeah,
like you send this guy in motion, you're like, all right, extended screen, fine, and it's behind the line of scrimmage. I thought this was a double pass because they legitimately nobody blocked. Like this is the craziest thing I've ever seen. Like what are we doing? Like, what are we doing, coach? I mean, like, this is nuts, but I guess kudos to the Browns defense. Like, hey, you're in there. And these guys, I think it's Greg, it's Martin, and it's maybe JOK's trailing or Walker's trailing, but like these guys were all over it. And they blow it up.
Yeah. I didn't understand that play for them. And I didn't like that. That felt like a play that Stefanski on the opposite side would have run for a DTR. Like, just get him a quick completion. Like, it'll make him get comfortable. Like, and it's like, dude, this is Kenny Pickett. He's in start number 22. He's supposed to be this franchise quarterback. You're trying to find out if he's that guy, and you're running stuff like that for him. Like, what does that tell you? What does that tell you?
Spencer, we'll watch this, and we'll get into it a little bit later. This game plan for Pittsburgh was very, very small difference between Arizona's game plan for Clayton Tune. Like, Kenny throws 7. I think I have 8 screens. 8 different screens that I saw. Just like,
did he complete a pass beyond the sticks on? Like, I don't know if he threw beyond the sticks, other than that one that was like wildly incomplete that landed in the middle of nowhere. Like, he doesn't throw downfield, and I don't know if that is just a product of Matt Canada's offense wasn't calling for that, or if they just don't trust him. Whatever it is, the thing for Pittsburgh now is you move on from Matt Canada today, like we talked about. And I don't mean to make this like a Pittsburgh show, but like the thing for them is. Was it Matt Canada for real? And I think that's what they're probably trying to determine is like the rest of the season, you got to find somebody who's willing to like push the limits with Kenny Pickett. and find out if he's the guy that you want him to be. Because if not, you got to move on. You have to.
Absolutely. And they're now in a position to do so. So, yeah, but one of the things here too, and you're going to see this with Dorian as we continue to move along in the season, yards like this, hidden yards, especially when you're backed up in these games where we got to rely on defense and special teams, are huge. So starts on your slant. Again, good job getting off of it, right? Snaps his eyes perfectly to Njoku, puts it between the 8 and the 5 and the catch. And we've seen it a number of times, like, hey, he'll break that and get the first down. But this time you just had an 11-yard completion. Yeah. That is the whole entire first down, another first down that other team has to get. So huge hidden yards, when you are backed up, that lead to punts. And then the very next play, right, we go to the second quarter. And this is a bomb. It's 80-yard kick. I mean, he kicks it from the 9-yard line, and it lands. I mean, this was insane. 9-yard line to the 15 it landed on.
Let's just call a spade this year and say that Bubba Ventrone has been brilliant for the special teams. Like, this special teams was a mess the last 3-4 years. They have been really, really good this year. Most notably, of course, with Dustin Hopkins, who we'll get to later.
They're the best group in the league, and look how much it matters to these guys. Like, this is Mike Ford. Watch this. I mean, I kept it in long because, he's jacked up. Like, the boys are buzzing. Like, Corey just hit an 80-yard kick, and then it sets. And then you're like, all right, for a Steelers fan or an opponent, you're like, okay, we're gonna get good field position. Now you're backed up, and so it's like, hey, special teams is huge in games like this. We'll be quick here. Shelby Harris. Go ahead.
How worried are you, real quick, about losing both your defensive and special teams coordinators this year for the Browns? Because Bubba Ventrone was linked to that Colts job obviously last year, so there's maybe some a little bit of a fire burning for him. And we know Jim Schwartz is. I would imagine Jim Schwartz is at least getting some interviews.
Yeah, very nervous because the positive though. And I think you and I maybe were texting about it. Like, there's going to be a line out the door or wrapped around Berea, probably all the way to Baldwin Wallace, for guys who want to be the defensive coordinator.
One guy who has local ties too. So
we talked about it.
We won't get into that yet because he still has a job, but we'll talk about it another time.
Yes, we will. But there will be a ton of great candidates if those two positions do open up, which is comforting. All right, Shelby Harris has been incredible for the Browns. This is a good one here. Here we come, Steelers with the screen, but Shelby Harris says no way, gets that paw up in the air and knocks it down. It would have been dead anyway. So what do the Steelers do? They come back with another screen, very next play. And Taki's got this one. So he drops back and has the screen set up. Taki blows this thing up. And now for Taki, I thought he played really well. But he's going to be so important, right? You lose Anthony Walker, and I love Taki. The dude flies around, and he's going to get a really good chance over these next couple weeks here to just continue to prove his worth because I think he's a great player.
Walker, notably week to week, just so people are aware too. He should be back at some point, but we don't know if it'll be next week or whatever. So, but also I just want to say getting the hands up on the defensive line. Like, I feel like maybe I just missed it last year, but that has been taught so well this year from Schwartz, where it's week after week. I mean, think about the Obo Okoronkwo, the pick 6 from Newsome last week. Like, he got his hands up on the play. Same thing here with Shelby Harris. Like, it's been night and day seeing those guys just get pressure and know, like, okay, ball's coming out, get my hands up and just see if something happens. It's been awesome.
And Spence, I talked about it with on our post-game show on Sunday, and it's just, you see this defense is so connected to each other. Sorry here. There we go. This defense is so connected to each other that, oh my gosh, apologize. That this defensive line knows that, hey, if I get blocked up at all, if my first move doesn't hit, the ball's coming out because either Miles or Za'Darius or Dalvin's getting home, or our defensive backs have covered it up and this ball's got to come out quickly. Yeah. So if I just even get touched, get my hands up, like, just get them up and go. They're just so connected. Each level, they're just playing at such a level right now. That's just insane. And it's so fun to watch. And even on this one here, right? Hands are up, guys are flying. Everyone's in good shape. All right. Backed up. Don't love this one. Actually, a good completion here from them, right? You get the Browns in some kind of a big zone coverage. Denzel's playing a little off on George Pickens. Big completion. Actually a good one there for Pittsburgh finding a zone. But Kenny answers that nice completion with a debacle down here. So you get a little bit of man coverage. This is third down. Here's the first down marker right here, if you can see where my marker's at. There you go. So a lot of times in man coverage, you run a lot of pick plays. Okay, you saw a couple last night in the Chiefs game, but this one is a common play. You'd see this at a high school game where you get in a 2x2 set. This guy runs kind of a rub route where he gets in the way of this guy, and then you get a slant off of it, something like this. This is a bread and butter play, a bread and butter completion. And Kenny misses this by, I don't know, ball lands here. That's at 10 yards. Like, not even kind of close. And there was Deontay tweeted this clip. Some guy, like some talking head, posted this clip saying that he did everything wrong. And Deontay just very matter-of-factly says, I ran the right route, bud, or something like that. But very funny. It was just a horrible, horrible miss on third down.
It's all unraveling in Pittsburgh as we speak.
Oh, it's bad, man. You're 6-4 in the playoffs, and they can't, they hate they can't do anything there. All right. So they punt it back to us. Nothing happens. We give it back to them. So want to just watch here. This is 1st and 10. Denzel Ward finding himself in another. This is just something that caught my eye. This isn't a huge play. They just go outside to Najee Harris. He dodges, and then he gets taken for a little ride. But watch what happens here. 78 coming in. Denzel had that Ronnie Stanley play last week, but this is something similar where he just gets pile driven by a offensive lineman. And, it's just little things like that. Like Denzel's elite, but he's very little, man. He's fragile. Stuff like that scares you.
Back-to-back weeks. How does that continue to happen? I mean, that one wasn't as bad. At least he didn't come in like head first, but still.
Ronnie Stanley's last week. You and I hardly talked about it, man, but that was violent as heck. All right, Myles Garrett, this is crazy. He's down at the bottom here. He gets around his guy in one step and then circles back around, and there's just a party at the quarterback. Obo gets home, but Myles forces the pressure, and it's huge because they're driving, again, hidden yards. That's a huge play. They lose 10 yards on that. It's a massive, massive play. Okay, next drive for the Browns, right? So it's 7-0. We need a big drive here, okay? Last drive of the half, let's get it going. So let's start with Elijah Moore. So we're going to start first looking at the top of our screen. I think this is a great throw, a great drop back, accurate, and Eli just drops it. Just one of those where, hey, you'd love to have that one back.
That was one of those.
Go ahead. Again, this is one where I would just love to be in the coach's room because DTR did nothing wrong, threw it to the open guy. Everything was good. It ends in a drop. Spence, if you look down at the bottom of your screen, if we're just looking this way, Amari Cooper, if you put one on him, is gone. Like, he is, and it's nothing that nobody did anything wrong. Like, this is one where it's just like, I'd love to understand why we went to the top as opposed to the bottom, because you get a little out here by number 2, and then you get Amari on this post. And maybe if his eyes started this way, the safety's involved. It's probably the case, but could have had
definitely that's almost like a nuance you develop when you're old as you get better, right? Because it seemed like he was looking top the whole way, and you're right, like the safety leaned that way. So that's one of those where, like, okay, maybe you start looking that way to get the safety to go that way, and then you look back to the right, and hey, there's Amari Cooper over the middle on a post. Like, so you're right. Like, it's an interesting thought, and you got to think like that's kind of where he's at developmentally. So that maybe comes later on, but that's a good point by you.
Yeah, and then, but what I love about him is you hear this often. They always talk about it, like on the broadcast. Like, if you get a guy drop a ball, come right back to him just to instill some confidence. So guess what he does? Boom, right back to Elijah Moore. Tough contested catch, and he breaks the tackle. He's slippery, man, and he's starting to get a little bit of a rhythm. He led the team 6 catches for 60 on Sunday. With outside of that drop, I thought he played pretty darn well. So a good throw, a good there, and then boom, here we go. Browns get their own little reverse. And DTR, while I love and appreciate his willingness, maybe let's stop doing this. He goes full speed into the gets a great block, but a really cool play, and especially you use Nick Harris as a pawn in this one as he flies across in motion. You're like, all right, definite run. We're gonna pitch it out there, and they got everybody. And then Dorian gets the nice little block there on Tillman's man.
That's one of those ones where when you're a quarterback going out there like that, you got to do like the old Tom Brady, just like get in front of him. You just kind of like put your hands up. You just kind of shuffle with them, but you don't really hit them. Yeah, that's what you got to do.
Just get in the way, man. Just get in the way. All right, get a gift here, okay? So we drop back to pass. We're looking for Amari. This is first down, and we get Joey Porter Jr. for a hold on Amari Cooper. Porter Jr. leads the league, has to lead the league in holds because that's all he does all day.
He's very handsy, yes. Yeah.
Get a gift. So now you're at the 50-yard line. So now we're thinking scoring. Again, remember, this is the end of the half. So I love this drive by DTR. Oh, sorry, I clicked off of it. And then again, okay, so very similar look. Remember on the first drive, we used motion to get to that 4x1. Well, we motioned Tillman across in a very similar set, okay? Jerome Ford goes on the swing pass. We fake that way, and let's follow. Now this time it's Batonio and Posick for the first down. And remind you, this is third down. So this is a huge play in the game because we're driving, need to get this first, and they're going to lean on Dorian's legs. And with a great scheme.
I'm assuming Stefanski might have gone for it there if they don't convert.
Oh, yeah.
When you're running like that on third down, I'm guessing that's kind of the game plan there. But
Absolutely.
You're right, like very similar concept to that early play where you were kind of just getting him comfortable. He boots out, and you're doing the same sort of thing there. So that was cool.
Absolutely. So yeah, for sure. But we move the sticks, and now they start rolling. Okay. So now let's come back. We get a great look for this. Get a great look. You're in clear man-to-man coverage. All right. So let's come back to 2. Amari just kills Porter on the slant. Great pass. That's a catcher's ball. Gets it on that front upfield shoulder, and he's able to fall forward for another 10 yards.
Can't throw that too late because the safety's coming down. That was a really good throw.
A really good throw, accurate, and you're rolling there. So, all right, 3rd and 5. So after that completion, you get the 3rd and 5. Let's go to David Njoku. While he did struggle for some parts of the game, this was a big catch. So he's at the top of your screen right here, right where my cursor's at, right where that yellow dot is. And you're just going to get I'm sorry, that one wasn't clean. But anyway, catch it to Njoku. He gets more than 5. He gets 10, and we're moving the chains. Now you're in the red zone. This is awesome here. This is a great play. So this concept's called squat. So we're looking at the top here. These 3 guys are in a route concept. You're going to get Jerome Ford into the flat, something like this. You're going to get Elijah Moore on a, 5-yard hitch route here. And then you're going to get David Njoku on a corner route. This is such a good concept because it puts a ton of stress on the defense, and it's a really easy read for the quarterback, right? If anybody takes away the flare, you bump your eyes right to the squat route, and then if that's covered up, you throw into the back of the end zone. Super easy to read, and DTR does a great job. So they get Jerome into the flat. This guy flies with it, and once he clears, this decision's made. You can see that ball's out, and Elijah gives him his numbers, put the perfect ball on him, and boom, 5-yard throw, 10-yard completion. So now you're 1st and goal. Now, 2 things here. So we're going to throw the fade up top to Njoku. Yes, he drops it. Yes, it gets on his hands. He does get punched in the face. That does stink, and probably could have been a PI, but it's a no call. You'd still love to see him catch this ball and reel it in. One thing I want to just point our eyes to, Amari runs a sweet route here. So this is just a little fake. You would call this like a sluggo, but he reverses out on it. And this is one where, like, because remember, we have no timeouts and there's, I think, maybe 12 seconds left. So you can't really progress this. You pick one and you throw it. But if he would have picked this bottom, like Amari ran a sweet little route there. Yeah. That was pretty cool.
By the way, I wanted to look this up because we talk so much about on this show Njoku and getting him in space and running. I just want to see for the hell of it where he ranked in terms of yards after catch. He is 6th in the NFL. 6th. He's behind crazy. Tyreek Hill, Rachaad White from Tampa Bay, who I didn't realize I guess had so much yards after catch, but they must do a lot of screen stuff with him. Jamar Chase, DJ Moore, and CeeDee Lamb are the only people ahead of him. But he's ahead of some like really other good, like Keenan Allen's below him. Amon-Ra St. Brown's below him. Travis Etienne's below him. Breece Hall's below, like Stephon Diggs is below him. He's good, man. He's good.
He's incredible.
He had a bad game.
And think back to the Seahawks game and the the Cardinals game where he wasn't getting everything behind the line of scrimmage. He was just making stuff up and making stuff happen after the catch. He's so good for that. I'm jumping ahead here to our end because a lot of that third quarter was a lot of just nothing.
Yeah.
Back and forth.
So while you're doing this, I want to ask you, because it became pretty evident in the second half, the Browns stuck with the same theme. Like it was, hey, we're going to do this, a lot of the same concepts. We're going to get these quick short routes over the middle, get DTR, getting rid of the ball quickly. And the Steelers made a point in, hey, if you're going to do that, we're going to play with one safety. We're going to play cover one, and we're going to crash down and make those guys have to break tackles if they're going to beat us. Like they basically said, they knew they could be over aggressive in the passing game and just crash down because they weren't worried about the Browns taking any deep shots or doing anything like that. So my question to you, Anthony, is like, did you think Kevin Stefanski should have tried to challenge him? Because that was the difference, right? Like we got to the late stages of that game, the Steelers had tied it up, and we're all sitting there thinking the same thing, like, dude, just try. Like, you're not going to beat this team if you don't try to beat them with something. And it ended up working out. It was okay because your defense is so good. But I think that was the thing that had people pulling their hair out.
And I agree with it. And that's one where it's just to your point, even an attempt just to show them, hey, we will go deep on you and we can. And it could be very calculated. It could be a, 2nd and 5 or, in a situation that's pretty advantageous for you in case you do throw an incompletion or a third and medium. And if you do throw an interception, it's like a punt, So it's like you would love it to be something calculated because you're right. I mean, it was a totally different approach from the Steelers. Well, they were trying to make stuff happen, and they did. They got an interception in one of the clips, and it was like, hey, the Browns could trust DTR a little bit more, and I think you'll see that. I think that he's going to prove enough, or he did prove enough that he can do it. And the way I say that is because I think PFF had it at 7 drops from the Browns. And if you add those 7 back, he had a completion percentage right around 75%. So ball was accurate. It was where it needed to be, just a couple drops here and there. And they could have pushed the ball down the field a little bit more. And
I misspoke. I said they played a lot of cover one. They actually played a lot of zone. It was a lot of too high safety. And they just knew okay, we can crash down because they knew the Browns weren't going to take any deep shots. And so they weren't worried about it. And that was kind of the thing. But to sort of break some of that up, you would have liked to see them try. So I'm with you. I think a lot of people felt that way. This could have been the narrative around Kevin Stefanski could have been a lot different if they lose this game, where people were like, oh, he coached scared and he coached puckered and all these different things. But it works out in the end. You stuck to your guns and you get DTR in the final drive of the game looking very, very composed because of what you had done earlier in the game to kind of get him there.
And that final drive, when we get to it should build a lot of confidence in the whole team, the whole coaching staff. Like, hey, let this kid give it a shot. One thing I will call out before we get into this play: this dude right here, DeJuan Jones, is a superstar.
Play where he, is this the play where he takes TJ Watt to the ground?
No, this isn't the snatch play, but it is pretty darn good. There it is. This is it. Yeah, this is the play. Joe Thomas shouted it out.
I saw his commentary on it, which was interesting because he said because DeJuan Jones is such a large human being, TJ has to kind of lean into him a little bit more, and that gets you off balance where you can kind of Olay him almost, and that's kind of what happened. He just kind of snatched him, and all right, well, there you go. Now you're out of the play.
Yeah, so, you're done, and I'm going to lay on you.
Exactly.
I'm going to lay on you.
Exactly. It was a great play.
So here you go. This is not the first down marker. This is the original line of scrimmage. So we're deep here, okay? This is awesome because this is 3rd and 25, and you just throw this curl routes, right? We see them every week. They keep coming up. That's 18 yards there. And again, this goes back to the hidden yards thing. Pretend like you're punting from here. You're punting from there as opposed to punting from the 27. So that's, again, that's a 1st and a half yard. So imagine remember Corey Shanks this one. Okay. He was great all day and he shanked this punt. So imagine if he shanked it from 15 yards deeper, they're getting the ball on the 40-yard line, So those plays are huge. While they don't mean much, you don't feel those help change the flow of the game.
100%.
So this is the drive before the final two drives here. So he comes out, Kenny does, throws it to the back shoulder to Pickens. Not a good throw, but it was a comeback. He catches it. And then they come back. They go with a screen play on the next first down. This one's to Najee. Again, just the Browns are all over it. Like, very clear they don't trust Kenny Pickett. Like, that isn't a screen situation, especially with where you're at in the game. Then Obo Okoronkwo just played the game of his life, man. Played the game of his life.
It was the dad strength. It was the dad strength.
The dad strength. And Spence, even think about it. Like, this, Chris Boswell can make a kick from anywhere, you know? So even if they get 5 more yards here, he's in range, you know? So this defense bowing up here, and now they force him to -5. Look at these guys flying in there, dudes everywhere. But Obo, great play. And then Zadarius, this is a glorified screen right here. They motion Warren back in, and he stops and comes back out. This is just a wide screen. Watch Zadarius Smith. He's right here. He's the one who makes this play because they force him back inside. There's a little bit of daylight right there. But again, Zadarius hustles, makes the play on third down, flexes. The boys are rolling right there.
Yeah, just a weird, like, that entire sequence just screams, we don't trust Kenny Pickett. You're running back to back, like 2 plays within 2 times within 3 plays screens. It's like delayed handoff to not, like, it's just weird stuff.
It's just, and especially in a position, you're in a position right there where you got a chance to win the football game. Go win the football game.
Like, you talk about Kevin Stefanski being conservative. Like, on the flip side, the Steelers were conservative as hell. And that sequence showed you. Like, they were basically like, yeah, let's just get 5-6 yards and put Boswell in a position where he can kick it. Versus, and this is where the difference comes into play, the Browns got into field goal range for Hopkins, and they kept on moving the ball to get him a little bit closer, make it easier for him. Like, that's the biggest difference.
Kept on moving it forward. And this was the big play in it too. This honestly got, like, the stadium was dead the whole second half. And this play right here, like, was like, oh, we're back. Like, hey, we need to win this football game. So, and this was awesome by Kareem. I mean, he's getting old. He's maybe doesn't have the first step he once had, but hey, he's in the hole. He's going to win. Either he's going to run through you or he's going to jump over you. You pick.
Yeah, I feel like Kareem, by the way, has been the, like, source of just when you need a big play, he gives it to you. Or, like, when you need a moment, he gives you this moment that everyone just rallies around. And that was it. Like, that was the thing that set the tone for the drive.
Set the tone for it. So we get 3rd and 7 here. Okay. I just want to show this because it's important and the Browns come back to it. So we're going to look at the top of our screen. Look at this formation. We're going to see this exact same thing here in a moment. You're going to get a corner here, and then you're going to get Chief on this whip route right here. And it's a great concept, and it's wide open. Okay. Dorian, this is perfect. Like, this can be, if you put this right on his numbers, we've seen Chief do it before. You know, he does have this guy driving, so maybe gets 10 yards, but this is a big play. But Dorian misses a little bit high. And I will say this, Dorian does throw a fastball, and it comes out hot. So that is an adjustment for these guys. But the Browns see that, identify it. Doesn't work that time, but they kind of memory bank that. So
how much is that a factor really, really quickly here? Because, like, changing quarterbacks, because I think, like, a lot of fans will sit outside looking in and be like, oh, it can't be that much of a difference. Like, if he's open, he's got to catch it. But how much does going to a different quarterback who might throw the ball differently impact?
Yeah, it's different. And the reason why it's different is mostly because everyone's release is different. Like, Deshaun has a very compact release where he's right in here. The picture that we use on on this thumbnail for this video, you see Dorian. He's, like, way out here, super long. The ball, the timing's just a little bit off. And Dorian does throw a fastball. So it's enough of an adjustment that is the reason why there's 9 drops in a game. Yeah. Because it's like, it's not like they can still catch it, but it's just like, hey, in a game like this where normally when I break out of my route and I'm David Njoku and I break out of it, Deshaun's ball, the timing is this, but Dorian's is a touch faster. And that's just enough for you to just get your focus off of it for enough. They'll change it. That will get sorted out. But it is enough of a change. All right, here you go. This is why you take a quarterback in the first round. Okay, game-winning drive. We're going to drop back and throw it 3 straight times. First one, we're going to go down to the bottom of the screen. We're going to attack Greg Newsome with your best guy, Deontay Johnson. And Greg, great coverage, bad ball, incomplete on first down. Second down, this is great. I know you saw the Ben Roethlisberger clip. He was watching the game live.
Yeah,
he goes, I thought someone was going to be out there. But Kenny looks, progresses. Deontay stops his route because he wasn't winning, but Kenny threw it as far as he possibly could. And it landed somewhere down here is where that ball
we talk a lot about like how they teach that type of stuff. You also just wonder, you hear all these stories when Aaron Rodgers was playing with Devontae Adams in Green Bay about just like they had so much nuance and with each other that he might know, okay, Devontae is going to stop the route here. It doesn't seem like Pickett has that same nuance with his receivers, which is probably part of the reason why things aren't going so well there.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So now you got 3rd and 10. We're going to test Martin Emerson at the top of your screen here with Deontay again. So 3 straight plays to Deontay, and Martin does a great job sitting on it. He's in great coverage. It wouldn't have mattered. The ball missed high. So 3 straight plays, 3 straight incompletions. We got to punt it away to the rookie 5th round pick. Okay, here we go. Game-winning drive. Ball is starting on the 35-yard line. Got to get 30-ish yards for the win. First one to Elijah Moore. This is a gutsy throw. Here's your window.
This was awesome.
The ball's flying. The ball has already been thrown. He's got a hand in his face, and he knew right away. He came out, and he goes, I'm throwing this thing to Elijah. Perfect throw that's buried on his bottom or his inside hip. Or his outside hip, I should say.
You're splitting the zone defenders there. Like I said, Steelers were just kind of comfortable sitting in that, knowing they weren't going to get beat deep, and this was like the deepest shot they took, and it was a perfect throw.
Perfect throw. Now you're like, all right, here we go. So they tempo into this. They tempo into this play right here. Again, we get slant. You get a slant stick concept. Same concept we drew up earlier. We got stick to the top. You got slant arrow to the bottom. I love this. Don't even mess with anything. Let's just get the ball into the flat with Kareem Hunt. And we get 5 yards. And most importantly, he gets out of bounds, stops the clock. Perfect. All right, let's hide Amari Cooper inside where there's no help. Okay, Amari Cooper in the slot on the top. That's a kill shot every time. Against Joey Porter Jr., Amari just runs a sick route. And now, right, you're in field goal range, okay? You're in field goal range, and it'd be a long field goal, 52-yarder from right here, but, you're in it. So anything more is just cherry on top. All right, first down. Here's the first down marker, right? What does this look like, Spence? Same exact formation, same exact play that we watched earlier. Watch Tillman go clear it out. All right, Dorian, take a little bit off this and be a little bit more accurate. We're going to give this thing to the Chief on this whip route. Same exact thing. Boom. Puts it right on the numbers. Chief breaks 1 tackle, gets 12 yards. And now you feel really, really good.
And that's one of those moments where Njoku's had a bad day, but he makes a big play for you in the most important moment, right? And
that's why he's one of your better players.
It's the old, I don't know if you've seen Dumb and Dumber, where he's like, you totally redeemed yourself. That's what it was.
Yes, I have to. Classic for sure. So rely on the Chief, get you down there, totally redeems himself from a tough day. Then let's hand it to Kareem, okay? So Kareem off the left side. So get a couple more yards. All right, they take the timeout here. Now, next one, no more timeouts. This is the best play. This is my favorite from Dorian, right? This is a high-stress situation. I don't know. I think it was like 14 seconds were on the clock. So and he was told this before the play, hey, you're going to have to kill this. Okay, we got to get everyone set, make sure we got 4 guys in the backfield, everyone's set because a penalty is a 10-second runoff. Okay, so we're going to run this up the middle. All right, just get a few more yards. All right, watch Dorian. Just watch him. He's chasing it down, picking guys up. All right, let's get set. Get set. Oh, did I stop it? I sure did, didn't I? Anyway, he's getting everyone set. He gets everyone set, and then it allows for him to just spike it. Okay, great job on the entire operation by everybody. Great job on that final drive. You got Cedric's on the line of scrimmage. You got Amari on this side of the screen on the line of scrimmage. And you got 1, 2, 3, 4 in the backfield. Harrison's got his hands back. This is perfect. You spike that thing with 4 seconds left, 5 seconds left, and the boys are DeJuan Jones fired up.
And I'm assuming the other part of that too is getting it on whatever hash Hopkins wants it on. Like that's the other part of that conversation is like, well, where does he want the ball for this kick? Because you want to make him as comfortable as possible too.
Yep, get him where he wants it, and then D-Hop does the rest. Joel Bitonio, jacked up. Let's go. Browns are.
You know what? I watched this play back a couple of different times because I wanted to see what Hopkins' reaction was, and he was just, dude, cool as a cucumber. It was like everyone calls Joe Burrow Joe Cool. He was Dustin Cool or Hopkins Cool, whatever you want to call him. Like D-Hop Cool. I don't know, but he had no reaction. He was just like, yeah, I knew it was going in. It's cool. I knew it was going in, and everybody, it was right down the middle. It was beautiful, like just crazy, man.
So
great
good
sequence. I put out the piece over at brownsdigest.com. There's an argument to be made that Dustin Hopkins is actually the Browns MVP. Just saying. I know Myles Garrett's out there. He's really good, but the guy's got 86 points. He has literally won you with 3 kicks, 3 games this year. You wouldn't necessarily be 7-3 without him. So I just to play devil's advocate, I know the Myles Garrett one's going to be the easy go-to one, but I like the idea of at least talking yourself into Dustin Hopkins as the team.
Dude, he's the reason you won a couple games, and that's why you go do it. Imagine the scenario that it's not Dustin Hopkins and it's somebody else, then if it's Cade York, you're missing a couple of those for sure. And instead of being half game out of the, whatever it is, half game behind the Baltimore Ravens, who are the number 1 seed in the AFC, you're 6-4, 5-5. It's a difference in everything.
I want to ask you this real quick to get us out of here. Again, great job as always. This was some fun stuff. And with so many great things that we can look into when we break these games down. I love doing it with you. But when we talk about, and I asked Greg Newsome this on Monday in like the press conferences they did, when you talk about like just this resounding sense of belief that the Browns are playing with right now, how is that even quantifiable when we talk about these matchups? Because like the Browns, they could go into like, let's just say okay, the Jaguars game coming up in a couple weeks. They're going to go into that game. People are going to be like, the Jaguars are the better team. Offensively, they're better. They don't have an injured quarterback. Defensively, Browns are probably better, but the Jags defense is good. Like, how do you quantify that when you're talking about these matchups? There's just like a team playing so together that they're going to find ways to win that way. It's the same thing. And honestly, this is maybe the right week to talk about it because it's the same thing the Steelers do. They just play these games where it's like they shouldn't be winning them, but they find ways to win. I don't know if it is quantifiable, but I'm curious from your perspective on it.
It is. It's hard to put. It's a great question. It's hard to put a number on it because you don't know when it's going to happen. You could play the whole game just like we would just watch. You play a whole second half where things don't look great. This offense looks bad, but the defense is just keeping them in it. And then there's one drive where it's like, boom, things click and you get into scoring range and you're able to do it. It's hard to put a number on it, right? For us as Browns fans, if you are a betting person, which I am, you love it. You love going into Denver as underdogs. You love that opportunity because like, hey, this group, they believe in each other, and it's super rare, in a professional setting like this, where it's like these guys genuinely feels like they love each other and they love playing for each other,
especially on the defensive side, man. It's crazy.
And it bleeds into the offense now, where it's like, all right, hey, I don't know who it's going to be. This offense is going to be patchwork until week 19 or week 20, but we're just going to team up. We're going to lock arms and we're going to go do it. It's hard to put a number on it, but it's this weird feeling, man, when you just get into it and this team believes in each other. And, it's a hard team to beat when you got 53 dudes who are all rowing in the same direction, because you got to beat them for 60 minutes. And there's not much weakness when that's the case.
Real quick, you good to keep DTR under center this week? Like what we saw from this past week.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I thought he was decisive, which was big. Wasn't second guessing himself. His interception I thought was inaccurate. People are giving it to Amari. It was on his back shoulder. It's really tough. But that's stuff you grow from. But everything you see in this game, you're confident that if this is his floor. His floor isn't Baltimore. His floor now is that game, and he's only going to continue to get better, and that's what you're confident about.
Yeah, no doubt about it. He looked pretty good. I think also everyone loves the idea of Joe Flacco coming in and he takes over, but guys, like, it was never going to happen anyway. Like, there's an acclimation period. He needs time. It wasn't going to be this week. Maybe down the stretch, if DTR struggles, that happens, but I think he at least showed you enough this week, as we sort of showed you on tape here, that he deserves to be the starter going into the Denver game. All right, well, that'll do it for another episode of Brownie Breakdowns. We appreciate you guys jumping in with us as always, and be sure to keep on watching all the content over at the Browns Digest YouTube page, and of course read all of our work, including that piece about Dustin Hopkins being the team's MVP over at brownsdigest.com.